how we react to stress is usually on autopilot. We usually react automatically out of habit. For example, if in the morning we throw a tantrum during morning traffic, so we are most likely to repeat the same behavior the next day. If we tend to get into an argument with the same person, if we don't consciously try to make a change, we for sure gonna repeat the same thing.
Everybody, welcome back to Nestspace podcast, and in today's podcast we have Dr. Crystal with us.
Hi.
And together with me and Albert. So today our topic will be covering on stress, job performance and job satisfaction. So let's hear the insight by Dr. Crystal on these topics. But before that, let's hear a little bit of the background of Dr. Crystal. So Dr. Crystal, what is your background, or how would you introduce yourself?
Okay, so thank you so much to Lei and Albert and also the team from Nestspace for having me here. So very honored to be here. A little bit about my background. My name is Dr. Crystal, but you can just call me Crystal. I'm a medical doctor turned educator. I'm from Sarawak, just like Albert here. And so I've been in the medical field for about almost 6 years. And then recently just got into training because I'm very passionate about educating people in terms of empowering them to take charge of their own health rather than being dependent on other people to look after their health. And my specialization is mainly in terms of health and wellness, especially in mindfulness and also how to manage stress. Yeah, because I feel that stress is another pandemic that we are currently facing, especially with the kind of lifestyle that we are going through. And so I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this area.
So, Crystal, you mentioned that you are now an educator. So that would be in terms of health and wellness.
Yes.
Educating people on health and wellness. Can we hear a little bit on your passion? How did you develop the passion towards educating people on health and wellness?
Yeah, in terms of health and wellness, one of the things that inspired me to do this is witnessing the suffering that patients in the hospital are going through, and also my colleagues while working in the healthcare system, as well as the collective globally. As I mentioned, a lot of us are suffering from stress. Future is uncertain, economic turmoil. Many employees are afraid that they can be retrenched anytime, especially with inflation and all this kind of stuff. So stress is a number one, we know stress is a number one predictor in diseases. And for me, if we can tackle stress, we can tackle a lot of the diseases or even mental illness that a lot of people are facing right now. And that is what inspired me to do this, because again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of work to be done, but there's not enough awareness or not enough education in terms of this. I mean, yes, we know that stress is bad, or we know that all of us are stressed. Even some of us, we keep on saying that, I'm so stressed. We wear it like a badge of honor, right? It almost becomes like a habit. But how do we deal with it? And what are the practices that we can do to overcome this? So this is what I wanted to educate, so that hopefully at the end they can empower themselves to take care of their own health.
Understand.
But do you think actually the stress, right? Like we've been talking about stress. A lot of people think want to delete or remove the stress, like how you you have you have fever, you can recover from fever, but do you think that stress can be like removed and recover from it, or is actually deal with the stress? Which one?
Stress, if you look at a physiological point of view, is actually a normal mechanism in the body. Stress is an automatic response in our body. It responds to a stressful situation. So for example, so I'm just going to go a bit in detail about how stress works.
Sure.
So that we can understand better. So the stress response in our body, it is activated when there is a threat. When our body perceives a threat. So it could be either a real threat or a perceived threat. So a real threat is, for example, things that can harm us. Like imagine if a tiger tries to ambush us or someone tries to stab us with a knife. So that is a real threat. So our stress response, our fight and flight response will be activated. But there's also a thing called perceived stress or perceived threat, I mean. So for example, like at work, your boss suddenly calls you into his office. So you see it as a threat. Even though maybe your boss is not going to kill you, but it is a perceived threat, right? You're going to think to yourself, oh, why is he calling me? Did I do anything wrong? Did I miss an email or deadline or something? So perceived or real threat is going to activate the same stress response, the same fight or flight response. And how it happens is, so when you're stressed, there's this thing in the brain called the hypothalamus. So it will secrete stress hormones and activate stress hormone in your adrenal gland as well. So adrenal gland is going to secrete adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol. And then another thing is your heart is going to pump faster so that there's more oxygen going to the brain so that your brain can think and make fast decisions in order to survive. Another thing is more you start to breathe more rapidly so that there's more oxygen. Your muscle starts to constrict so that you can run away from threat. But if your muscle constricts for too long, as in the case of if there's you have chronic stress, that's why you feel muscle sores, right? And your heart, if it beats rapidly for a long period of time, it can cause high blood pressure or heart diseases. And another thing is, so when you're stressed, there are certain parts in your body that is not eliminated, but it's reduced. This is called the non-essential function in your body. For example, your immune system and your digestion. It will be halted for a bit during stress. So that's why when you're stressed out, maybe you're called for an interview, right? You feel people say you feel butterflies in your stomach, or you feel nervous, or you feel bloated, or you cannot really digest your food properly because it's during stress the function, it stops for a while. Yeah. And that's why when you're stressed, you get sick very easily because your immune system is suppressed for a while. Yeah. So these are all of the things that can happen when we are stressed. So imagine if all of these physiological response, it happens for a long period of time, just like how a lot of people are going through, stress, especially at work, at home, in relationship. If it happens for a long time, that's why we have a lot of chronic illnesses cases like heart disease, stroke, even certain illnesses, autoimmune diseases, these are all things that can happen because of stress. And there are a lot of research articles that has proven that it is triggered by stress.
So which means stress is not something that you can remove because our body tend to take in stress.
Stress is a response. It's how your body responds. What causes stress? The triggers, these are called stresses. Yeah. So there are many types of stresses. For example, morning traffic stresses. Go to interview is a type of stressor. You see your
Mara by boss.
Mara by boss. That is a type of stressor also. You miss the deadline. That's a stressor. Yeah. So how the body deals with stressor is through the stress response, just like I mentioned. But what we cannot control the stress response, right? Because it's something that is innate in us. It's a physiological response. Natural.
We need it also, right?
And we need it to survive. But now in our day and age where we are relatively safe, when no tiger is going to ambush or kill us, God willing.
But the tiger is a boss. Boss is tiger.
But we see our tiger as a boss, right? So that is perceived stress. And the same response is going to happen. But what we cannot control how other people are going to treat us. We cannot control morning traffic. We cannot control the weather.
True.
But what we can control is how we respond to that stress. That is what we can control. And when we can control how we respond to the stress, we can also control this physiological stress response.
Okay. It means that you manage your emotion, then you manage your emotion, manage your stress.
Yes.
Then manage your body.
Yes. Right. Manage emotion, manage your thoughts, and then you can also manage your actions and how you respond to them. Yeah.
So the emotion and the thoughts is where the stressors comes in, right? Those are the stresses that
can affect that.
Identify, and then from there, your body will react towards it.
So it's actually the summarize our things is actually if you stress, it cannot be removed, but you can manage your emotion. You can learn to manage your stress, manage your thought. No?
Yeah.
Right?
So I always think there are two things in life that we need to think about that can determine how we respond. There are things that we can control. There are things that we cannot control. Right. So what we can do is just the things that we can control, which is our response to a certain trigger. Some triggers or some stresses we cannot, that is beyond our control. Yeah.
But before we can control the response, we need to identify, right? What is triggering us?
Yes.
Is there like a way for it?
Yeah, and that is where self-awareness and mindfulness comes in. Yeah, because most of the time, from what I observe, also from my own personal experience also, we are usually stressed because, I mean, how we react to stress is usually on autopilot. It's usually, we usually react automatically out of habit, you know. For example, if in the morning we are stressed, we throw a tantrum during morning traffic. So we are most likely to repeat the same behavior the next day. Or if we tend to get into an argument with the same person today, so the next day or even the next week, if we don't consciously try to make a change, we are for sure gonna repeat the same thing. Yeah, but it takes a lot of self-awareness to know that, okay, this is how I usually think and feel when this trigger comes. And how do I want to respond? What kind of behavior do I want to portray? You know, what are my values? What kind of person do I want to become in this situation? So that one takes self-awareness to understand who you are, how you feel, what your thoughts are, and also it takes mindfulness as well. So mindfulness, it just means paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. So without trying to be anywhere doing something else, but just paying attention right now as it is in this moment. Yeah, that's all mindfulness is. So for example, if someone lashes out on you or someone cuts you off in traffic, so if you are mindful, you can observe your situation, or you can observe the incident from almost from a third person point of view. You can detach yourself from the event rather than making yourself the subject in the event. Instead of being the subject, you can be the object. Yeah.
So it's basically reflect what's happening, but from a third person.
Yeah. You create like this space, you know. There's this quote by this Austrian psychologist called Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you heard of it before.
No.
So he's one of the survivors in the Nazi concentration camp during World War II. So Viktor Frankl, he wrote this very wonderful book called Man's Search for Meaning. So this is quote where he says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom." So what mindfulness helps us to do is it creates that space. That space between trigger and response. Because most people, without mindfulness, there's no space.
Yeah.
If there's trigger, immediately respond. But with mindfulness, there's like a gap here. So before you respond to a trigger, you have a gap. So you can choose. So that is where your power lies, according to Viktor Frankl.
Okay. But actually now we're talking about the workplace, right? The workplace, self-awareness, right? Actually I see like a lot of people that I'm not sure it's actually the bosses giving the task that they cannot do, or actually it's memang not their strength. And it turned it become the stress for that person.
Yes.
Yeah. And the boss side, if I would think that why your performance are so bad, kind of things like that. What is actually opinion?
Yeah. So this is also a cultural thing, right? Like when we grow up, we've been taught that once we are born, we go to school, we work. We go to school first, right? And then university, we graduate, we pick a job. What kind of job? As long as it's stable, it pays the bill, you can provide food for the family, and then you retire, then you die. That's it. So we have 80,000 hours in our life that is spent on work. And most of what we've been taught is, we've been taught what job to take. For example, which company to work for, how much money to make. But we've never really been taught about how do we find the right career in the first place, right? Yeah. And that is where a lot of the problem lies, especially in workplace, because most of the work that employees are doing is not aligned with their unique capabilities, with who they are. Because all of us I believe we are all unique in our own individual ways. I always like to use the analogy of our fingerprint, right? All of us, we have very unique fingerprints, and just like our individual self, we are also unique in that sense. So we have our own strengths, talents, skills, passions, our own different values. So the thing about the workplace is we are given a task or a job title, and we are expected to do work the same way as everyone else. Even though most of us, we are unique, and that sometimes we do best in our own ways, different ways. We can achieve the same outcome by doing it in another way, in a different way that is best for us. But unfortunately, that is not something that is encouraged in the workplace. In the workplace, we are given a list of job scope. So you have to do this in this way. Yeah, to achieve the same outcome. And a lot of the jobs that employees are doing is not a match to who they are, right? Not a match to their strengths. And then when they are underperforming, we think that it is the employee's fault. Yeah. Even though maybe it's just not aligned with their strengths or with their talents. And for me, it is up to the senior position, for example, their boss or their leader or manager or even HR to identify what is going wrong, and to understand the employee first, to go down at the employee's level and then try to understand what is going wrong, why are they underperforming, rather than trying to blame them or even try to threaten them or fire them, for example, worst case scenario, right? Yeah, so it's about understanding, like, is this job a match to this person? And for me, one of the best leader is when you can unleash your the people under you. You can help them unleash their fullest potential. You can make them see what they are capable of doing. Yeah.
But it goes both way, right? Not just employers coming down to understand the employee.
Yes.
But the employee should be willing to wanting to improve.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think actually wanting to improve actually very important also.
Yeah. They should be proactive as well.
Yeah, because at least you doing the wrong thing, right? But your bosses still see that you have the initiative want to improve yourself.
Yes.
But even you do a wrong thing, I think they will still okay, not bad, this guy, he still he want to improve, he want to search for something, right?
Yeah.
Rather than this person so lazy things like that. I think it's actually the one has actually what I say is actually move forward. You need to have a move forward. Even you do wrong thing in your workplace, doesn't matter, but you have the heart that want to move forward. Then your superior or your bosses can see you have the heart want to move forward and you want to learn. Because from like those fresh grad, right, after you just graduate, definitely you are considered empty one. Wherever you study in the uni and the workplace is totally different, right? Because what you study in a uni is a hard skill, but in the workplace you need a lot of soft skill to build it, because it's actually a level by level. That is actually soft skill needed, and a lot of uni they don't provide the kind of soft skill, critical thinking, innovations, right, and positive thinking. They not really have that kind of syllabus in the study. So I think it's actually good to tell the fresh grad, right, don't give up, move forward and learn. Self-learning is actually very important. The boss can see one if you have a self-learning heart or not. It's actually is very important. And
I think that's where the communication between the employer and the employee comes in. And both parties need to be at the same pace to know that they are helping each other in order to build a stress-free ecosystem. Because like what you said, if the employee is not performing, the employer will also be stressed. And then at the same time, the employee is also stressed because could not understand what the employer wants and no life purpose. Just doing work for the sake of doing work and getting scolded. So it's going to the stressful environment. In order to eliminate stress and go back to more happier ecosystem, that's where it goes to understanding both parties, right?
It's actually come back to like the stress with purpose and the stress without purpose. Right. So if the employer, and I mean the team, the people work, right, the employee, they have the purpose, and they understand, and the purpose is aligned with the bosses, that will the whole company will be very much move forward lor. Yeah. But if the people, the employee don't have a life purpose and don't know who are they and don't know their strength, then that's actually a lot of things that you need to be solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it in two ways. We can see it in terms of the employees' self-awareness and also their mindset, right? Because it takes a lot of self-awareness to know what are your weaknesses, which area you need to improve, and what are your strengths, and then being able to communicate it to your boss, because they are the one who will dictate your trajectory in your career, right? So you have to understand yourself first, and then being able to communicate it. Because if you don't understand yourself, what you're capable of, and then how are other people going to help you, and how you're going to help yourself. Yeah, and the second one is mindset. So employees, they have to be proactive and also independent, rather than being so dependent on others to propel and help them push forward, right? So the kind of mindset that employees have to have is a growth mindset rather than a scarcity mindset or a lack mindset. So growth mindset meaning that you believe that you always have the potential to improve with more learning, with more practice, right? You're not only fixed in a certain skill or a certain talent, but you always have room to improve if you put in the effort. So so these are the two things that employees or even all of us should be mindful of.
True. Because it's actually with the growth mindset, it's actually help you to develop your skill set better, your hard skill better. So you're thinking of, okay, I'm maybe here not in good enough, I need how to develop it. And then skill set is actually one thing, and then how to make the thing more how to say
Reach the goal.
everything, right? That is actually when the mindfulness need to be have. So it help you to release your stress also, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you have an objective, it's actually faster to you release your release your stress.
Yes.
And you are considered what they call it use stress,
Yes.
right? Use stress.
Use stress,
Yeah, because you have the you have stress definitely, but you have the positive stress.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
It encourages you, right?
Yeah,
The
it's
stress
actually like-
encourages
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Stress, there's a lot types of stress, not all stress are bad. Again, as I said, stress is just a physiological response.
Yeah.
And to a certain, and we need some amount of stress to a certain degree so that we can work better at an optimum level. There's this graph, it's called the Yerkes-Dodson curve, right? So it's like a bell curve. So there's intensity here and then stress here. So if there's too little stress, this will lead to boredom. There's not enough challenge. You're doing something that's familiar, so it doesn't help you grow, right?
Yeah.
So this can lead to boredom. But when you're at the peak, when there's just nice amount of stress and also just a nice amount of intensity, that's the biggest area where you can grow, right? But if it's too much stress, so you go into this area called the panic zone, right? Because you're doing things that is you're over the you're over the border of your stress. Yeah, so if you're too stressed, you're going to lead to a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic,
Yeah.
too much unpredictability. You're in too unfamiliar territory, so that can that's the bad kind of stress, like distress. Yeah, so we need to find a balance between the amount of challenges that we are facing, also the amount of stress that we face. Yeah, in order to produce the most maximum effect of work.
Yeah, actually, that this one is just reflect me of like, understanding yourself well enough is actually very important.
Yes.
Yeah. So when when you understand yourself better, you know how to reject the things that is not belong to you.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I think that is actually one part of how you release the stress.
Yeah.
Right. So like sometimes like your boss is giving you a task that you are not familiar with, you're not good enough. Maybe you need to clarify with your boss that actually I might not good enough in this, but I don't mind to have a try to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rather that you say, take it, then after that you cannot do it, performance,
Yeah.
cannot marah again, then you stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stress. Then after that you marah your boss again. Yeah. Then we become a
Stressful environment.
yeah, gila environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's communication. You talk to your boss, but it's actually like you clarify with your boss and tell them, okay, yeah, I'm not good at it, but I don't mind to try. At least your
Yeah.
boss will see that, oh, you have goal. I say, yeah, go ahead to try.
Yeah.
Right? Because we for me, I always believe that develop your skill. Your own personal skill is better that you go and try every single skill, but then everything is not that good
Yeah.
enough. Like they always now they use the what T-shape T-shape career. It's actually you are really good what you do. Like you are marketing, you are really good marketing.
Or like stacking your skills.
Yeah, it's actually
skill
like
stack.
it's actually like keep developing your marketing skill and become you are the professional at that skill. So then it means you are good in it, but maybe you're not good in finance.
Yeah.
But when people think of you, they will think of you are the marketing specialist.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to you, then nothing, it means that you can handle everything. So your stress level also will be less already, because you are in your comfort zone already,
Yeah.
right? Because you build it until that is your so-called essentially your territory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than you go and do something that you are not good at it.
Yeah. That's why self-awareness is the foundation of mindfulness.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Yeah. Mindfulness, it doesn't only help in terms of reducing stress, but it also promotes self-awareness, because it takes a lot of mindfulness to create this space, as I mentioned, between the stimulus and response. You really have to be mindful of what kind of action you want to take, right? And that is where self-awareness comes in also. Yeah. And mindfulness is also about conscious living, meaning that you are living consciously. So you build a life that you consciously build a life based on what you want or how you want it to be, rather than letting other people push you around or impose their beliefs or their lifestyle onto you. And unfortunately, that is what a lot of people are facing right now, right? I mean, this cultural belief is so ingrained in us that we think, oh, this is the way to live. There's no other way. For example, we should do this. We should get a 9-to-5 job. If we have this degree, then we should work in this one career for the rest of our lives, right? So this kind of belief is so ingrained that we think that there's no other way to live. But it takes a lot of mindfulness to consciously choose what kind of life we want for ourselves, rather than what society has imposed on us. Yeah. So there's mindfulness.
Yeah, maybe it tells us more about how you actually you study doctor, right? Almost 7 years, and then are you still in the doctor, like medical side?
Yeah, I'm not practicing as a doctor in the hospital.
Okay.
But now I am educating people about health and wellness.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how, like, when you, like just now we were talking about you are so brave that to move out from, not say I'm saying a lot of like our generation now, right?
Yeah.
Your parents ask you to study doctor.
Yeah.
Then after that, the parents expect you to become a doctor in the hospital. But but everyone just move on doing the same thing what the parents say. But how they brave enough to come out from it, and then you don't really like. I'm not saying that you don't respect your parents, okay?
Yeah.
I just want to say is actually I just want to say how you break through that, and how you communicate your parents, and your parents is actually agree what you do.
So the thing is, being a doctor has always been my childhood dream. I've always wanted to become a doctor, right? I think I mentioned this to Tule during the book launch the other day. Like, if you were to look at my report card during primary school, my top 3 occupation would be a doctor, architect, and an engineer.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes stewardess, sometimes chef, sometimes teacher, but most of the time it's always doctor. And one of the reasons why I think is, back then I liked the idea of being able to help people, and then imagine being able to heal people from their medical condition, right? Like, that's such a huge impact that you can give to that person's life. So I wanted to be that for others. But unfortunately, after going through medical school and then working as a houseman in the hospital, reality is not what it seems. It's not the same as the glitz and glamour that is being portrayed in TV shows or movies about doctors, right? It's a far cry from all of that, is all of those illusions. It's just that the lifestyle, the strenuous lifestyle, the workload, the work culture is not something that resonated with me. But back then, I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of it when I was a kid or when I was studying in medical school. But only after going through the experience going through the journey only, then I realized, oh, this is not for me. Like something's a bit off, you know. Yeah. So that is when I decided to resign from my housemanship, much to my parents' disappointment. I mean, before that, I did discuss with them about my idea to resign, and they were very unhappy about it. They tried to talk me out of it. They say like, oh, housemanship is just 2 years, right? Just hang in there. You've worked so hard for this already. 5 years in medical school. Now you're houseman. You almost finished already. Then what if you're going to waste everything? You know. But I don't know why. Maybe you can call it gut instinct or intuition. But something in my heart tells me like, I'm done living according to someone else's idea of what a good life should be, or I'm done living up to someone else's expectations or someone else's dreams. It's time to take charge of my own life and go after what I want for myself, right? And so after many months of contemplating whether to resign, I finally handed in my resignation notice and then resign in end of 2021. And then when my parents found out about it, they were very sad, because I come from a very small community in Sarawak, right? From the Orang Ulu tribe. I don't know if you heard about this before, the Kenyah Kayan.
Yeah.
Mostly in Bintulu and Miri. So we're a very small community, you know, and we're very tight knit. So almost everyone know everyone. Yeah. And being a doctor is something that is very rare. I was one of the very first few ones to become a doctor. And so because being a doctor is being put on a pedestal, right? Like people always look highly on doctors. So when their only daughter finally becomes a doctor and then now quit, of course my parents would be very disappointed. But I realized that the people that we love, they try to advise us based on their understanding of reality, based on their previous personal experience, and they want the people who really care about us only wants the best for us based on how they see the world, right? And so they try as much as they can to protect us, but unfortunately sometimes their own beliefs may not be in line with who we are or what we believe, or maybe not in line with the current era that we live in, right? Yeah. And all it takes is just communication. At first I thought maybe I should push my parents away, you know. Maybe I should go after my own path and let them and prove to them that I can actually make it.
Yeah.
But then I think again, what was I gonna say? Again, as I say, my parents or the people that we love wants the best for us, and it's all about bringing them into your dreams, opening up the door, being open, whether they agree or not, but just being open to them, and then just let them into your dreams and paint them a picture for how you want your life to be. And when they can actually visualize or when they can actually see that picture, they are more likely to support it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. I told them what I wanted, what I expected from my life, and what are my dreams for myself. And then now my parents are my number one biggest supporters, my biggest allies.
Wow, that's good.
And I know that they're just a phone call away whenever I'm in trouble or whenever I need them. So yeah, I'm so grateful for them. Even though at the beginning, like God bless their heart, right? They don't understand the things that I wanted for myself. But I think it all boils down to trust also. Trust, and then supporting each other. Like no matter what happens, we will always have each other's back. Yeah.
I think that is actually a very good message to the public actually, because like we look at a lot news now, right? A lot of people commit suicide. They commit suicide because of the stress in the educations, stress in blah blah blah, a lot of things. Like I think it's actually maybe like what you said, they try to live in their to make their parents happy. To make their parents happy, but actually they are not happy. Right? That day actually I read one news. It's about this guy was in the best university in China. Right, but he finished the study and he committed suicide. He write a letter, a will, right? Letter. He said that I done what you asked me to do, so now I want to end my life today. Right? I want to find my happiness. So it means actually he like really stressed that whatever the father asked, and he just followed me. But to be honest, actually, do you actually like? I mean, like for the parents, do you actually like really understand what your kids want, what they're happy? Is it true that you become like doctor, you become rich, right? It doesn't matter. But in the world nowadays, I feel like the rich is not come from the money side. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of the rich. Happiness also one of the rich.
Yeah.
Right? You can be a rich in happiness and rich in money, but doesn't mean that you have a lot of money, you will be rich. Right?
Yeah. It depends on how you define it, right? Like, how do you define being rich? Some people say being rich is about having a lot of money. But some people, they feel rich when they have a good relationship with their loved ones,
Yeah.
or when they feel fulfilled. That's
Yeah.
even though they don't make a lot of money, but they feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is they can create an impact in someone else's life that they already feel rich.
Yeah.
The same thing goes to how we define success also.
Yeah.
Right? It's very subjective.
Yeah.
Some people say success is when you achieve this, or when you have this. But for other people, they see success as finding fulfillment or joy or love
Yeah.
in work,
Yeah.
feeling happy in life, or having, even though they live a simple life, but they live an
Happy life.
abundant and full life, you
Yeah.
know, from a full heart.
Yeah.
So it's how you define it for yourself,
Yes,
rather
yeah.
than letting other people impose their own beliefs
Yeah.
onto you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Because actually when I see right, a lot of people are fighting for reach the money side. Right. After that you get a lot of sickness one. You stress with this one, stress with that one. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that is bad, but I'm trying to say is actually how to balance your life.
Yeah.
Right. How to balance your life not only for one goal. I mean like one goal, but there's a happiness actually a goal. So how to make your life better, less stress, less high blood pressure, then
Yeah.
heart attack. You know, nowadays, recently, like suddenly there's a lot cases heart attack suddenly pass away.
Yeah.
So I think that actually a lot of the cases start from the stress, cause the high blood pressure, heart attack, pop, just like that. 40
Yeah.
something, pop. like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, it goes back to what you say, right? There's a difference between stress with purpose and also stress without purpose. So if you have stress with purpose, the stress that you are facing is most of the time is the good kind of stress, right? Because you're doing something that is fulfilling, and even though you have to work hard for it, you know that stress is worthwhile because
Yeah.
you're doing it for something impactful, something meaningful to you. But if you're having stress without purpose, for example, if you want to be rich, having a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you have a purpose, right?
Yeah.
Your purpose, I mean, you may tell yourself that the goal is to have a lot of money, but is that really, you know, the genuine kind of purpose that we're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you may try as much as you can to achieve as much money as you can, you know,
Yeah.
trying to be rich. But then at the end of the day, you're going to feel very stressed, burned out, and then only to feel empty,
Yeah.
only to end up feeling purposeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So it's like a paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when all of these medical condition, these chronic illnesses comes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You earn a lot of money, then you pay for the hospital bill.
Oh, yeah. And that's a very sad way to
Yeah,
spend your
and-
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately.
I mean, like, pay the hospital bill is still okay. Surgery, the painful, all these things are, oh my god. I mean,
And
like,
you
Yeah.
don't get to live the life.
actually very suffer one.
Yeah, I mean,
Suffer.
there's a difference between
Yeah.
living a long life or living a quality life.
Yeah.
Right? You can live
Yes.
long, but then you suffer with a lot
Yeah.
of debilitating illness.
Yeah.
Or you can live, even though it's short, but it's high quality.
Yeah.
I think the quality of life is actually
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
Right. That you don't you I mean like even today you say okay you need like 10 million for your retirement. It's good enough, then just get the 10 million. That is an objective to get 10 million.
Yeah.
Right. Even you see a lot of people get $1 billion, then you still want like more and more. But sometimes we get a lot of money, but we neglect our family, neglect our spouse kind of things. Then the children's got a lot of the side effect. Right?
Yeah.
Then the family have a lot of side effect also. Like the
Yeah.
bad things happen to them. I mean, do you think that it's worthy that you get $1 billion but you lost everything? Like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think we need to ask ourselves, why do we want all of that money in the first place? Right? I think for most of us, deep down, it's just for security and stability. Right? So if we have this amount of money, so we feel safe, we feel secure, so that we don't have to be worried about money problems. And then now we can at least divert our focus to something else, something more meaningful. Yeah. this is the healthy, like healthy way to see it. But some people, they want to get money, maybe deep down, other than to secure financial stability. Maybe it's a way for them to feel this sense of lack of self-worth, for example, or feeling like not enough, and so they need all of this money so that they can buy all the luxury goods and then show off their cars so that they can feel important or feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
But it's only going to be a vicious cycle,
Yeah.
There will be a time when that thing will come back to them, will hit them, and then they will end up feeling not enough again. And so that's why they will always keep on trying to chase the next big thing after another, because nothing is ever enough. Nothing is ever enough if you don't feel enough within yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means they come back to self-awareness again.
Awareness.
And that comes back to self-awareness, to understanding that why do you want to do something, why do you want to achieve a certain thing. So self-awareness, mindfulness, it all comes back to that.
Yeah, that
Yep.
is actually the first goal you get, then that's how you get less stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some people, they have a target like, okay, I'm going to have this certain amount so that I can feel secure, and then that's enough. Now I can spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are okay with that. But some people, once they have this amount, so they want to chase more.
Because they don't feel happy when they reach the first target.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't feel happy or they have something else to prove. I mean, of course, there's a fine line between wanting to go after something, go after your dreams or your goals, right? But if it costs your relationships, your health,
Yep.
or what you value, then you have to decide whether it's worth the chase in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah, actually, like what you say, do you actually live for other people or you live for yourself? Right? So you live for other people means I want to earn a lot of money. I try to prove to other people I'm worth it. I'm rich. Right? I can buy this car, or this luxury product. Then you try to live for
Yeah.
people. But if you live for yourself, even today I'm billionaire. Okay.
Yeah.
I still live. I can still ride a bicycle outside. I don't care. Even I have a billionaire, then I just still can wear like normal shirt. Like you see like those Mark Zuckerberg or these tycoon. They just still, even though they are very rich, but they still live in normal
Simply,
life.
yeah.
Simply like because they know where they want to go. They know what they want and their life purpose, what they're doing. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is the difference between that you live with purpose or you live without purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also self-awareness, it helps you to have more self-confidence also, and it builds your self-esteem, because when you are aware about who you are, what you want, what you don't want, what are your strengths, weaknesses, so other people's opinions or beliefs, they don't really matter as much anymore. You don't have the need to compete or compare with other people, because you already know who you are
Yeah, yeah.
and what your beliefs are, what
Yeah.
your values are. So you try to live according to your own terms,
Yeah, true.
rather than other people's
Yes.
terms.
Right now, many people are looking for work-life balance when choosing a career to have a fulfilling and happy life. In Nestspace, we are a gym for mind that empower your mental fitness to excel in your career. Join our classes to learn from industry expert, career coaches, clinical psychologists, and registered counselors that give insight on the career tips, career growth, salary, and self-growth. Check out at Nestspace today. Attend our classes for a career blowout.